Officer Pete Ramirez's smirk lasted exactly 4 seconds before his world collapsed. Unless Elon Musk himself comes out and vouches for you. You're not getting in without credentials, Pete said, chuckling as the crowd joined in. The man before him looked out of place. Rumpled clothes, tired eyes, and a baseball cap pulled low. He claimed to be an engineer but looked more like someone who'd wandered in from the street. He flinched at Pete's words, shoulders slumping in defeat. Then a calm voice cut through the murmurs of the crowd. "That won't be necessary, officer." Pete turned, still wearing his smug smile, until the man behind him removed his cap. And in that frozen moment, Pete realized just how wrong he'd been. Pete's alarm blared at 3:45 a.m., an hour earlier than usual. He fumbled for his phone, careful not to wake his wife Elena, who'd just finished a night shift at the hospital. The house was silent as he went through his routine: shower, shave, uniform. 17 years of muscle memory. Today wasn't a normal shift. It was a Tesla event, special security detail, extra pay, and a chance to cover part of his daughter Sophia's college tuition. He scribbled a note before leaving. Lunch packed. Home late, love you. He paused outside Sophia's door, proud and worried all at once. The first in the family to attend college, every overtime hour counted. The drive to Tesla's Fremont facility took 40 quiet minutes through the dark. The massive complex loomed ahead, 800 acres of innovation and ambition. At the gate, a woman checked his ID. "Officer Ramirez," she confirmed, handing him a badge. "You'll be at Gate C. Expect VIPs, press, and a few overzealous fans. Mr. Musk will be presenting, so security is tight." Pete nodded. He'd done event security before, but this was Silicon Valley's Super Bowl. Gate C looked like something out of a sci-fi movie. A sleek white archway with Tesla, redefining possible, emblazoned across it. The site buzzed with energy. Workers hustled, drones hovered, and media crews prepped for the global spectacle. James, the site coordinator, briefed the officers. No badge, no entry. Platinum for investors, gold for Musk's guests, red for media. Stay sharp, this launch could affect Tesla's stock price. No pressure, Pete thought. By 7 a.m., he took position at the main gate beside a contractor named Doug, a muscular, no-nonsense type. "First Tesla gig?" Doug asked. "Yeah, you?" "My fourth. Usually quiet, just the occasional influencer trying to sneak in." Hours passed under the California sun. By mid-morning, sleek Teslas and luxury cars streamed in. Executives, reporters, investors. Each badge scanned and verified. Pete kept his tone professional, though some guests treated him like a nuisance. He'd been a cop for 17 years. Entitled people weren't new. When a famous actor arrived, Doug got a selfie. Pete didn't. His daughter would have killed for one, but he figured it was better to avoid the temptation. A text from Sophia came through during a lull. "Got my paycheck." 340 going straight to textbooks, Pete smiled. Every bit helped. By 12:45, the heat was brutal. Pete's boots felt like bricks. He'd been standing for 6 hours when a man caught his eye, 15 feet away, partly hidden behind a group of venture capitalists. Something felt off. The man's clothes were wrinkled. His hat shadowed a weary face. He looked nervous, scanning the gate like he was searching for a way in. Pete had seen that look before, the kind people had right before trying something stupid. "Heads up," he murmured to Doug. 3 o'clock. Guy in the cap. Doug glanced over. "Yeah, not exactly VIP material." The man started walking toward them, shoulders hunched, eyes down. Pete straightened, ready to intercept. "Badge, please," he said. The man hesitated. I left it inside. I'm one of the engineers on the prototype team." Pete frowned. "Nice try. You're not on the list. Step aside." The man tried again. "It's important." "They're waiting for me," Pete smirked. "Unless Elon Musk himself comes out here to vouch for you, you're not getting in." A ripple of laughter spread through the line. The man's face fell. Then silence. A voice from behind Pete cut through the crowd. "That won't be necessary, officer." Pete turned just as the man in the baseball cap lifted his hat, and there he was, Elon Musk himself. The laughter died instantly. Pete's heart sank. Every camera phone in the crowd pointed his way. In that single unforgettable moment, Officer Pete Ramirez realized just how badly he'd messed up. Pete noticed the stain on the man's cuff, the faint twitch of his fingers. He looked exhausted, maybe even strung out. "Badge, please," Pete said flatly as the man reached the checkpoint. I'm supposed to be on the list," the man mumbled, voice soft and unsure. "Engineering team." Pete nodded to Doug, who began scrolling through the tablet. "Name?" Tom Wilson." Doug searched, then shook his head slightly. "No Tom Wilson," Pete said. "Do you have ID or a badge?" Tom patted his pockets with rising panic, checking each one again and again. "I must have left it. I came straight from the lab." "Please, check again." "I'm on the drivetrain team." A line was forming behind him. The last stragglers were hurrying to make it before the doors closed. Pete's patience was running thin. He'd seen this before. Fans, vloggers, wannabes trying to sneak in for a selfie. "Sir, without credentials, I can't let you in," Pete said firmly, motioning toward the big security notice beside the gate. Tom's face fell. Real distress replaced the earlier nerves. "Listen, I've been working 70-hour weeks on the new prototype. If I miss this, then you should have remembered your badge," Pete cut in with a smirk. "Or had your assistant bring it. Or I don't know, made sure you were on the list like everyone else." A few people in line chuckled. Tom's face flushed red. "I am on the team," he insisted. "Call someone, anyone. Get a supervisor." There was desperation in his voice now. Pete sighed, a bit too theatrically. The day had been long, his feet sore, and this wasn't his problem. "Buddy, I've heard every excuse today. Unless Elon Musk himself vouches for you, you're not getting in." More laughter from the line. Tom's shoulders slumped as he stepped aside, defeated. Pete felt a brief pang of guilt, but rules were rules. "That won't be necessary, officer." The calm voice came from behind Pete. He turned and froze. Another man, equally disheveled, wearing jeans and a black t-shirt, had approached from inside the event area. "Excuse me?" Pete said, irritation rising. The man removed his cap, revealing a familiar face. "Elon Musk. I can vouch for Tom," Musk said evenly. "He's not just on the team. He's the lead engineer who solved our battery degradation issue. Today's presentation is about his work." The blood drained from Pete's face. He'd just mocked one of Tesla's key engineers right in front of Musk himself. I'm sorry, sir. I didn't realize." Musk didn't respond. He turned to Tom instead. "Sorry about that. I should have made sure you were on the list." "You came straight from the lab?" Tom nodded, still embarrassed. "Wanted to run one last simulation before the announcement." "Typical," Musk said with a faint smile. "Come on, we need to review the notes anyway." As they walked off, Pete stood frozen. Everyone in line had seen it. Doug avoided eye contact, suddenly very interested in the tablet. The overtime pay now felt worthless compared to the knot in Pete's stomach. Dozens of phones had recorded the scene. Within minutes, it was spreading across social media. Pete forced himself to stay composed, checking badges mechanically while replaying the humiliation in his mind. Did I really smirk? Did I actually say that about Elon Musk? Yes and yes. His face burned. "Hey," Doug muttered. "Don't beat yourself up. You followed protocol." Pete nodded, though he knew it wasn't that simple. He'd let the power of the badge get to him. Around 1:15, his supervisor, James, appeared. "Ramirez, got a minute?" Pete's stomach dropped. "Here it comes." They stepped aside. "I just got word about what happened with Mr. Wilson," James said. "Sir, I followed procedure." "No badge, not on the list." "I know," James interrupted. "Technically, you did everything right." Pete closed his eyes. "Of course there's a but. How bad is it?" James sighed. "You come across?" "Poorly." He held up his phone. The short clip showed Pete's smirk, his Musk comment, then the shock when Musk appeared. Comments were brutal. "Great, I'm a meme," Pete muttered. "It gets worse," James added. "People identified you as SJPD. The department's getting flooded." Pete felt his professional embarrassment twist into dread. This wasn't just about him, it reflected on the department. What now? For now, nothing changes. Finish your shift. The department will decide later. For what it's worth, I told them you're a good officer who just had a bad moment. "Thanks," Pete said quietly. As James left, Pete's phone buzzed. Texts from colleagues. "Dude, is this you? Bro, you're everywhere." He silenced it and went back to work. Applause erupted from the main pavilion. Tom Wilson's moment of triumph had arrived. The same man Pete had humiliated hours earlier. Doug glanced at his phone. Tesla's stock just jumped 12%. Must have been some announcement. Pete didn't respond. His thoughts were elsewhere, on the fallout still to come. Later, James returned. "You're relieved. Second shift's taking over. Anything else?" Pete asked. "Yeah. The department wants you to check in with your sergeant before heading home. Hang in there, it'll blow over." Pete doubted that but nodded. He walked to his car, phone ringing. Sophia, his daughter. He almost let it go to voicemail but answered. "Hey, sweetheart, Dad, are you okay?" "It's everywhere. People are sharing it in my group chat." Pete winced. "Yeah, not my best day. That's not what I mean. Have you watched the whole video? The real one, not the edited clips?" "What do you mean?" "I sent it to your email. Watch it. Then call me." Pete sat in his car and opened the email. The footage began the same way. The confrontation, Musk's reveal, but then continued past where most clips cut off. After Musk and Tom walked off, Tom paused, turned back, and said quietly, "It's okay, officer. You were just doing your job. Security matters, especially today." Then Musk asked, "You're not upset?" Tom replied, "After what we've been through to make this tech work, I get it." The clip ended with Pete still at his post, visibly shaken but continuing his duties. The person filming added commentary, "Look at this cop. He's devastated but still doing his job. Respect." The comments under this full version were different. Thoughtful, even sympathetic. Both guys handled it well. Respect to the officer for staying professional. Pete leaned back, taking it in. The story wasn't as black and white as it had first seemed. Then his phone rang again. His sergeant, Ramirez, he answered. "Pete, have you seen what's happening online?" "Some of it. I'm ready for whatever disciplinary action." "That's not why I'm calling," the sergeant interrupted. Tesla's corporate, the communications department, had been trying to reach Pete. Apparently, Mr. Musk had mentioned the incident during the Q&A session after the presentation. Pete's stomach dropped. Musk had used it as an example of their security protocols working exactly as intended. Even their lead engineers had to follow procedures. "No exceptions. This wasn't what Pete had expected, so I'm not in trouble?" he asked. "Not with us," his supervisor replied. "Officially, you followed established security protocols. Could have handled it with a better attitude, sure. But given the circumstances, we're standing behind you." Relief washed over Pete, quickly followed by a wave of shame. "Thank you, sir. One more thing," the supervisor added. "Tesla wants your permission to use the video clip in their security training materials as an example of proper enforcement, but also how professionalism matters." Pete almost laughed at the irony. "So they want to use me as a bad example?" "As a teaching moment," the sergeant corrected. "Your call, but owning a mistake shows integrity." After the call ended, Pete sat in his car for several long minutes processing everything. His career wasn't in jeopardy.
Tesla wasn't filing any complaints.
In fact, the whole incident was being turned into something constructive. Still, as he started the engine, the knot in his stomach remained. The lack of consequences didn't erase what he'd done. That small power trip, the unnecessary attitude toward someone just doing their job. Traffic was heavy, giving him plenty of time to think. He thought about Tom Wilson, the engineer who had worked so hard preparing for today's big announcement that he'd forgotten his badge. The man who had the grace to say it was okay, even after being publicly embarrassed. Someone who understood that security mattered, even when it was inconvenient. Then he thought of his daughter, Sophia, how she had searched for the full story instead of accepting the viral version. She had thought about her father's feelings even as his mistake circulated online. And then Pete thought about himself. A good officer most days, but not that day. Not his worst day, but certainly not one he was proud of. By the time he pulled into his driveway, he'd made up his mind. He needed to apologize, not because anyone demanded it, but because it was the right thing to do. The house lights were on. Elena's car was in the driveway. Through the window, he could see Sophia in the kitchen. His family was there, waiting, ready to support him no matter what had happened. Pete took a deep breath. Tomorrow, he would find a way to contact Tom Wilson and offer a sincere apology. He would turn this humiliating moment into something meaningful, But for now, he'd go inside, hug his wife and daughter, and be thankful that our worst moments don't have to define us, especially when others show unexpected grace. Just as he reached for the door handle, his phone pinged with a new email. The sender's name made him pause. The subject line read, "About today." Pete hesitated, then opened it. "Officer Ramirez, I thought you might be worried about what happened earlier. I meant what I said. You were doing your job, and security protocols exist for good reasons. The company reminds me often that I need to display my credentials properly, especially on big event days. Let's consider this a mutual learning experience. Perhaps we both had something to learn about assumptions and appearances. On a personal note, if you're interested, I'd be happy to give you and your family a private tour of the Innovation Center. The technology we unveiled today is going to change lives, and I'd love to share it with people who appreciate its impact. Tom Wilson, Lead Engineer, Advanced Energy Systems." Pete read the message twice, amazed by the generosity it showed. Then, with a lighter heart than he'd felt all day, he put away his phone and walked inside to his family. That smirk, the one that had flashed across Officer Pete Ramirez's face during the confrontation, had lasted only 4 seconds before his world collapsed around him. Yet in the hours that followed, he learned that collapse can sometimes be the start of rebuilding, if you're willing to learn and accept the grace others offer. By the end of his shift, Tesla security guard Musk's lead engineer, gets schooled by Elon, was trending across social media. His shocked expression had become a meme, remixed with dramatic music and millions of views. Sitting alone in the parking lot, scrolling through the chaos, Pete's phone buzzed again, a text from his son. 3 million views already. He dropped his head against the steering wheel. Nearly 20 years of good service, spotless record, and now one lapse in judgment was threatening to define him. Then came the call from his supervisor. "Ramirez, we need to talk about what happened today." Pete's throat tightened. "Sir, I can explain." "Save it. Tesla's PR team wants you at headquarters tomorrow morning. 9 a.m., entrance B, ask for Maria." Pete's heart sank. "Am I fired?" "Just be there." The call ended. He drove home in a daze, barely seeing the familiar streets. Elena was waiting at the door. "They were watching it at the hospital," she said softly. Pete sank onto the couch. "I messed up. I was tired, impatient. I never meant for it to go that far. What happens now?" Elena asked. "Meeting at Tesla tomorrow, probably to make it official." He thought of their bills, the mortgage, Sophia's tuition, her mother's medical expenses. Elena squeezed his hand. "We'll figure it out." "We always do." Sophia emerged from her room. "Dad, I saw what happened." "It's all over TikTok," Pete groaned. "Great. Even my daughter thinks I'm a jerk." "Actually," she said gently, "some videos make you look bad, but others show the full version. That engineer, Tom, defended you to Musk afterward." Pete looked up, stunned. "He did?" She nodded, showing him the clip. Tom was saying, he's just doing his job. Security matters." The comments were supportive, even sympathetic. Elena smiled. "See? Not everyone thinks you're the villain." Pete felt a bit lighter. "Still doesn't change that I have to face them tomorrow." "So, apologize," Elena said simply. "Show them the man I know you are." He barely slept that night. At 8:30 the next morning, Pete arrived at Tesla headquarters in his best suit. Maria from PR and the head of security greeted him in a quiet conference room. "Officer Ramirez," Maria began, "you know why you're here." Pete nodded. "I just want to apologize. My behavior was unprofessional. I understand if you have to let me go." The head of security studied him. "Your record is exemplary. 17 years with SJPD, community commendations, no disciplinary actions." Maria slid a tablet toward him. On it was Tom Wilson's social media post. "I want to talk about second chances," it read. "We all have bad days. I've had mine too. I hope people will show the officer the same grace I've been shown throughout my career." The post had over 2 million likes. "Mr. Wilson came to us this morning," Maria said. "He insisted no action be taken, and Mr. Musk agreed." Pete blinked. "So I'm not fired?" "On the contrary," she smiled. "We have a proposal." Tesla was launching a new community outreach program, supporting underprivileged youth in STEM. Musk had been impressed by Pete's community work and wanted him to serve as liaison between Tesla and local schools, a full-time role. With a higher salary and benefits, Pete was speechless. Sometimes, Maria said softly, our worst moments lead to our best opportunities. Pete sat back overwhelmed. For the first time in days, he allowed himself to smile, humbled, grateful, and ready to begin again. People with backgrounds in education or engineering usually led these programs. But the security head leaned forward. This isn't just about teaching technical skills, he said. It's about reaching kids who don't see themselves in STEM, kids who think those opportunities aren't meant for them. Maria nodded. Your community work shows you get that. The Youth Basketball League, the mentorship program at Eastside High. You've been building bridges for years. Pete was surprised they knew about his volunteer work. That's just being part of the community, he said. Exactly, Maria replied. That's what Tesla wants. We don't need another executive who shows up once a year for a photo op. We want someone who can connect for real, someone who understands the barriers these kids face. The security head added, after yesterday's incident, you showed something valuable, owning a mistake and taking accountability. That's the kind of example we want for students. Pete shook his head slowly, still processing. I appreciate the offer, but I don't know the first thing about electric vehicles or battery tech. Maria smiled. That's fine. You'll learn alongside the students. Our engineers, like Tom, handle the technical side. Your role is about engagement, showing kids that curiosity matters more than expertise. Speaking of Tom, Pete said hesitantly, I'd like to apologize to him directly. Maria's smile widened. He was hoping you'd say that. He's waiting to meet you after this if you're interested in the position. Pete thought about his 17 years on the force. He'd joined to make a difference, but lately it was more about crisis management than community. This new opportunity felt like a way back to his purpose. And then there was Sophia's tuition, Elena's long hospital shifts, and the financial strain they lived with every day. I'd like to discuss it with my family, he said. It's a big change. Of course, Maria said. Take the weekend. 3 hours later, Pete stood in another conference room, this time with Tom Wilson and, unexpectedly, Elon Musk himself. I don't understand why you're doing this for me, Pete said after thanking them. I was completely out of line, Tom shrugged. 10 years ago, I was sleeping in my car. Rejected from 3 engineering programs. Someone gave me a second chance I didn't deserve. This just feels right. Musk, who had been quietly listening, finally spoke. Tesla isn't just about cars or energy. It's about believing the future can be better than today. That applies to technology and to people. The conversation stretched for nearly an hour. Tom shared how he'd gone from homelessness to leading Tesla innovations, thanks to a chance meeting with a community college professor. Not everyone gets that lucky break, Tom said. Your job would be to create those moments for others, to show kids that the path to a place like Tesla isn't impossible. Pete found himself genuinely inspired. Before he left, Tom handed him a small package. For your daughter, Sophia, right? Maria said she's in college. Inside was a signed copy of Tesla's latest research paper and a handwritten note offering Sophia an internship. Interview when she was ready. She's, studying environmental science, not engineering, Pete said. Touched but puzzled, Tom smiled. Perfect. The environmental side of our work is just as important. We need people who see the big picture. Driving home, Pete's mind spun with possibilities. The offer was generous, better pay, stock options, and regular hours. But it was the purpose that gripped him, helping kids find opportunities the way Tom once had. Elena was waiting on the porch when he arrived, anxious. How bad was it? Pete grinned. You're not going to believe this. Over dinner, he explained everything. Elena's worry turned to disbelief, then joy. They're offering that much? She asked, eyes wide. Plus stock options, Pete said. We could finally pay off Sophia's tuition. Tears welled in her eyes. After all these years of you protecting everyone else, someone's finally looking out for you. Sophia came home from work just as they embraced. What's going on? Dad, did you get fired? Pete laughed. The opposite. Sit down. We've got a lot to talk about. They weighed the offer from every angle. Sophia was excited about the internship. Elena did the math. No more second shifts, maybe even an early mortgage payoff. But are you sure? Elena asked. You've been a cop your whole life. Pete nodded slowly. I joined to make a difference. Lately, it feels like we're just patching problems. This could actually solve some, Sophia smirked. Plus, no one shoots at STEM educators. Elena swatted her playfully, but didn't argue. By Sunday, Pete made his decision. He called Maria to accept. His captain was supportive. We'll miss you, Ramirez. But this is a good thing. The department will always be here. At his first planning meeting, Pete was surrounded by educators, engineers, and community organizers, all driven by the same mission. I was a corporate lawyer for 15 years, said Lydia, the program director. Made great money, hated every minute. Now I make less, but sleep better. Pete's local knowledge proved invaluable. He knew the schools, the challenges, and the parents' concerns. This is why we need you, Tom told him later. The engineers can teach skills, but you understand the community. 3 months later, the program launched in 5 underserved schools. Pete's days were packed, meeting principals, guiding students through projects, helping parents see new possibilities. It was hard work, but deeply rewarding. A year later, Pete watched from the back of Eastside High's auditorium as students presented their renewable energy projects. Sophia, now working part-time with the program, stood beside him. Remember when all this started? She whispered. Pete chuckled. Feels like a lifetime ago. Across the room, Tom was talking excitedly with a 14-year-old whose solar project had impressed everyone. He caught Pete's eye and nodded, a quiet gesture of mutual respect. Later, Tom pulled Pete aside. The program's expanding. Musk wants to take it nationwide, 10 cities to start. We want you to lead the rollout. Train new liaisons, adapt the curriculum. Be the face of the program, Pete blinked. Me? Tom? I'm not an educator or an engineer. That's exactly why, Tom said. You're the reason this works. The trust you've built, that's what makes this special. Pete hesitated. I'll have to talk to Elena, this means travel. Some, Tom said. Mostly local, but you'll help set up each new site. Pete smiled faintly.
Can I ask something?
That day at the gate, you really forgot your badge. Tom laughed. Yeah, I'd been in the lab for 36 hours straight. Total absent-minded engineer move. And you weren't mad? Pete asked. Tom shook his head. In the grand scheme, being stopped at a gate is nothing. The work we do helps millions. That keeps things in perspective. Pete looked around the bustling auditorium, students proudly explaining their projects. That single mistake, one he thought had ended his career, had instead redirected his entire life. You know, Pete said softly, my dad used to think Tesla was just for rich people. I wish he could see this. Kids from every background building their futures. That's why we're expanding, Tom said. To show that tech isn't just for a few, it's for everyone. Elena was thrilled when Pete told her about the promotion. As long as you're happy, she said. Sophia was more direct. Dad, you have to take it. Do you know how many students would kill for what you're building? 2 years after that first encounter, Pete Ramirez stood on a stage in Washington, D.C., accepting an award for educational innovation. In the audience sat Elena, Sophia, Tom, and Elon Musk himself. This program exists because of 2 things, Pete said during his speech. An engineer who was too focused on solving problems to remember his badge, and a security guard who was too focused on rules to see the person behind them. He paused. That guard was me. What could have ended my career instead opened the most meaningful chapter of my life. The audience applauded. Later, when a student asked why he left the police, Pete smiled. I realized I could do more good this way. Back then, I helped people in crisis. Now I help prevent those crises before they start. At the celebration dinner afterward, Musk raised a glass to unexpected beginnings and second chances, Tom added. Pete looked around at his family, his friends, and the life he'd built. To removing our hats, he said with a smile, and seeing each other clearly. Some mistakes end careers. Others open doors you never knew existed, all because one cop laughed at a man without a badge, and Elon Musk